Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever webinar on boating maintenance and how to basic maintain your boat. So, the key point about boat maintenance is very straightforward, right? By knowing your boat maintenance, right, and what needs to be maintained, you more or less get an idea on what and how to care for your boat, which is very important in the long run. Like for example, I will just go through some of the points. Regular maintenance helps you prevent costly repairs, helps you know how to extend the shelf life of your equipments, right? Keeps your passengers, of course, the boat safety. And last but not least, this is obviously the point that the reason why I'm creating all these videos and contents as well is to guide you or let new boaters or existing boaters know on what are the basic knowledge of key equipments, right, that you need to look out for, that you need to understand how to maintain for. And by simply having those knowledge, right, by being educated in knowing how to maintain your boat and understanding what all these equipments are called and how it is being maintained, it actually helps you understand how much the service is worth so that you do not get ripped off. So let's get started. First of all, know your boats. There are many kinds of boat in the market. There are the monohulls, the catamarans, many kinds, right? Sailboats, so on and so forth. So these are pretty straightforward. If y'all need more content on this, let me know. I'll create it. But if you are a boater, you probably know this during your decision making process. So whatever boat that you have got, know the type of boat that you have and what are the kind of maintenance that you need given the type of boats that you have. So in a boat, there's generally three major compartments: the forward, the mid, and the aft. It's pretty straightforward. The forward may or may not have equipments over there. For example, in my boat, the forward compartment is the marine AC. So the marine aircon is installed in the forward compartment of the boat, right? And it blows all the aircon when it's powered. Followed by that is that on the mid, right, I have my sour sump pump, my bilge pump, so on and so forth, and my of course in my aft, the engine bay, I have my engines, bilge pumps, so on and so forth. So knowing the key major components allows you to also know in the event if there's any water coming in, what to do, and whether you have the right equipment to handle a situation at a particular location at the back of your head. So all this general knowledge of your boat's personality and your boat's um, equipment and safety is very paramount to the safety of you out at sea. So just bear this in mind. So in a boat, there's many equipments. Very important for you to know your key equipments like the bilge pumps. This is like the insurance policy between you and a sinking boat. Of course, you have your battery, so on and so forth, which we will go through the list. Take a look at the section and we'll go run through them one by one in the following slides. So our bilge pump, very straightforward. Bilge pump is paramount to the importance of you and your boat and your boat floating out at sea. In the event if there's an ingress of water or whatsoever, exhaust leaking, right? Your hull cracked the hole, whatever. Your bilge pump is the key thing that it needs to work until the batteries get fried by the seawater, and then it will stop working. And at that point in time, you call for. By then, you should be calling for mayday and so on and so forth. But if the bilge pump can last and pump out water, then your boat will float indefinitely. So it's pretty straightforward. The quote that I prepared is that the bilge pump is the most important of them all. Without a working bilge pump, your boating days won't be long. it is very true. So a bilge pump is not expensive. Change them every 1 or 2 years, right? Check them from time to time. Is if you know that your bilge pump is working, you know that even if you take in water, it's gonna save you. So another note to take note is that make sure your bilge pump's GPH, gallon per hour output, is of a higher figure. So someone asked me whether 500 GPH is good enough, and I'd say that 500 GPH is quite small. If you want to get minimum, get 1,100 GPH, 1,100 gallons per hour, from brands like Rue, so on and so forth, is easily available off Amazon. Get something of a higher capacity, higher output, so that you know if the water do come in, you have something that's pumping out higher dosage of water, right? Extracting more water out from the boat. So having something like a bilge pump is very very important. Have your original one, and if you feel like you want to have a peace of mind, feel free to add one more. I've added one more 4,700 GPH on my boat, and that more or less guarantees me, in the event if my engine bay has any water taking in, either from exhaust leak, water engine leak, or whether I crack a hole in the hull, or I get lightning struck and then there's blow a hole in the hull. I know that at least I have got like 5,800 GPH of bilge pump pumping out water for me through the holes. So in that case, I know that my boat will be more or less running. The engine will be running. The batteries will be running for as long as it can power the bilge pump, and that will get me to safety anywhere in Singapore. So, so know your bilge pump um, is very very crucial. It's super low cost. You can do it yourself. Have it working all the time. Um, yeah, it's very very obvious, very very straightforward. You have bilge pump in many in almost any section. So I would say this: any section that has a hole on the hull that has direct contact with the water at sea, more or less will have a bilge pump inside. So when you are having a, let's say like your marine AC, which sucks in water from the sea to cool the system and expels out the water, guaranteed there's a bilge pump over there, right? Your, let's say your shower sump system in your mid cabin, even though there may not be any water intake from there, but if there's any expelling of water, for example from the shower sump, so on and so forth, there will be a bilge pump over there also. So that's like a secondary defense, right? In the event if the hose breaks, or you can't reach the seacock or whatever, at least the bilge pump is going to pump out water. And of course, your engine bay, that's like the paramount to everything, right? If your engine is fried and your engine stalls and you can't move, then you are pretty much stuck at sea. So engine bay, that's definitely bilge pump, right? Know your bilge pump, know where the holes are at, know your seacocks, so on and so forth, which we will go through later on as well. So let's come to batteries. Batteries very straightforward. Batteries, there's many kinds of batteries. Batteries is very easy to maintain. It's like a car battery. There's no difference to it. Um, just make sure that the cables are not corroded. Everything looks clean and pristine. Spray with some silicon or WD-40 from time to time, right? Just check it. It's very easy. If your battery is not holding charge, whether you bought a used boat recently or so on and so forth, and you keep having issues with your battery, and if it's not holding a charge, so just like car batteries, when it's not holding a charge, it means that the battery is more or less at the end of its shelf life. Just change it. It's not very expensive. You can buy it off Amazon. You can buy it off any workshops. It's pretty straightforward. So not a costly equipment. Change it like every 5 years or so. Um, just take note that a battery can be dead in a sense once the voltage goes too low. and you might not be able to jumpstart it anymore, then you have to change your battery as well. So always maintain your battery by having a battery charger on your boat so that it maintains the voltage and the charge for you from time to time. But even if you do not have one, then just know that whether your boat has an alternator, um, or a voltage relay, and know whether those things are working to help maintain your batteries or charge your batteries. So voltage sensitive relay, this is basically a system that my boat has, but I'm not too sure whether your boat has or not. But VSR, how it works is that when the boat is running, usually from the motors will just like car, right? The motor will generate electricity through the alternator and it will charge it back to the batteries. So in a boat, it's the same thing. What a VSR does, which is usually I think it comes in the boat, but even if your boat doesn't have one, then don't not to worry too much about it. But if your boat has one, how it works is that fundamentally, it just when a battery is filled, let's say your engine one battery is filled, and you have a in your battery system, you have wired it with the negative to another, a positive and a negative to another battery. Let's say your engine two battery, which is in parallel. Then what it does is that it will spill over the voltage to charge the other battery while when your first battery is full. So it doesn't keep overcharging your battery, whereas it spills over and charge the other battery. So it's a simple, fairly simple system. It's just like when something is full, it will just jump to the next one and it will just hold the charge over there. So when the light is up, it just says there is charge over there. It's just whichever battery that has require more juice, it will just pump the current to that to charge the battery. So we talk about ground now. Grounding is very important. This is something that I myself worried a lot when I was having my boat as well. In a sense, when I was trying to figure out whether I'll be safe in a lightning situation, because when you're out at sea, sometimes you see the storm coming and you know that you are like the highest point in the openness, right? So the thing here is that even if you are not the only boat over there, you still fear the fact that you are one of the higher points besides the sea surface. So I always wonder like, will there be a situation, right, whereby touch wood, if the lightning do struck, then what happens? So I went to research on this and I also went to figure it out. But more importantly is that every boat you would have a ground system in a sense. So it's usually in the hull area, whether it's engine bay or so on and so forth. You have to know where your ground is. It is super important. So usually you will see a bar or something that connects to the hull, and it's a thick one, and you see all the wires going there. Um, the ground is very important because if you ever get a situation of lightning strike, right? If your ground is not working, you are your first priority is whether you are alive or not, right? Because if your ground is not working and the lightning strikes, then you are like you're like part of the circuit. But the idea here is that a ground system could also potentially be the point of explosion, right? So you think of it like a gun and a bullet hole, right? That lightning goes to the top point and it has a impact point, right? But it will fry all your current circuits and everything, and then it will go down, right, to the ground, and then the ground is where it will dissipate the electricity down to water and down to earth. So if your ground is not good or your ground cannot handle the voltage that is coming in or the amp that's coming in, potentially there could be a situation whereby you get blown up as well. So if you think about it as a bullet hole, then you have a hole over there. So if that situation ever occurs, right, at least you're safe. But the next thing you need to deal with is how do you handle a ingress situation, right? So those are things that you need to know where your ground is. So in the event, touch wood, if that rare occurrence happen, you at least know where it happens, where it is happening, right? Rather than panic and then you don't even know how to handle. So grounding is very very important. It's paramount to your own safety, right? Don't be part of the circuit. And the second thing is that your ground will actually help to quote unquote also maintain your boat, because if there's any stray current, it goes to the ground rather than it fries it start corroding all your electrical metal parts. So grounding is, I think most boats wouldn't have much issue with grounding by default. They will come with it. But if you're unsure, no, even if you have a ground system, better know where it is located. It's very straightforward. If you're unsure, you have to know whether you have one or not. It's like unless you are never going to travel out on a stormy day, or you're never going to see a storm in your boating days. But if not, by having understanding and knowledge of your grounding system, where it is located, where the grounding bar or the grounding points are located at, you save the peace of mind. And I think that peace of mind is education and knowledge that every boat owner needs to know. So let's come to engine model. Engine model is very straightforward. Service them every 100, 200 hours is extremely easy to service. Now that I made it I make it a very strong point. It is extremely easy to service because I have myself recently found out how easy it is, and I've done it myself. And now I can tell you with 100% confidence that it's not hard to do. So either you can choose to believe this statement, or if not, you can pay the market rate that the vendors are charging. But either way, it is very simple. So your engine, very straightforward. Change your engine oil, change your oil filters, change your fuel filters every time when you service 100, 200 hours. Um, very low cost. Yeah, it's very, very low cost. For example, in Singapore dollars, 18 liters of motor oil for my engine is $60. Right? I have found the supplier and it's $60, and I can tell you that right now. The oil filter is $10. The fuel filter is $10. Right? The rest is all your labor. So if you spend the time, you can find it affordable. You can make it affordable. So I'll do more videos on that down the road, but this is something that I just want to highlight. Take care of your engine, and your engine will take care of you. Right. More importantly, take care of your engine and know how to take care of your engine, right? And you will take care of your wallet, and you will take and the engine will take care of your boat as well. So it's double happiness. So bear that in mind, right? There's your engine is paramount, right? Whether you have a petrol engine, Mercruiser, which is very easy to maintain, or a diesel engine, or so on and so forth, right? A Volvo, so on and so forth. Know your engines, and very simple. Just look up the engine, go and Google the manual, read through the user manual, right? By reading through the user manual, there's already a section, guaranteed, there's a section that says maintenance, how to maintain it, right? It's very simple. Just read through it, understand what kind of engine oil you need. And then from there, if you have any questions, ask in the group chat, SG Boater group chat, or so on and so forth, right? But know your engine well, and your engine will take care of you. So bear this in mind. Engine servicing is very easy, not difficult. Once you understand that this basically your engine oil, your oil filter, and your fuel filters, like these are the three key things. Everything else is all visual inspection. Everything else, if really you require engine overhaul, your engine is not starting, your starter motor, your alternators, your carburetors are all having issues, then there's a whole different advanced mechanic issue. But if it's just basic servicing, anyone can do it. Yeah, give even a 6 year old, 7 year old, you just tell the steps, show them once, they will understand. It's as simple as that. So driver. So drivers are basically, know that your engine is basically a motor. It spins the crank, right? There's a pole inside that spins. And what connects to that is the gearbox, which is the driver in a sense. So there's many types of drivers. There's the stern drive, right? There's your outboard engines, which comes with the driver together as a whole OBMs, right? And then you have the V shaft, which is basically just a propeller at the end. So when the engine spins, the propeller basically just spins. That's the easiest one. So most of the boats, whether it's Volvo Penta or whether it's Mercruiser, right, usually have a out. Well, if it's an inboard engine, right, you usually have an outdrive. So outdrives is simply a mechanical gearbox. There is no electricity or or circuits to talk about. So it's 100% mechanical. And the good news about 100% mechanical is that it's simple, right? So when you're talking about 100% mechanical, that means it's just gears and levers. So I want to just bring that clarity as well. Like the driver is essentially a gearbox. It doesn't have, at least for Bravo trees, right? It doesn't have any electrical circuit to it. Besides your trim sender, which is telling you where the trim is at. But besides that, pretty much you don't have anything. So um, what drivers do is that basically when the engine cranks the pole, right, it connects to the driver, and the driver would then run the gears to spin the propeller. As simple as that. Maintenance of a stern drive is very simple. You just simply change the gear loop. That's it. Right. Of course, from time to time, there's the more advanced ones that you require to change some of the hoses, this and that, right? But that's a separate conversation. Like you won't have run into that kind of issues at least 3 years, 5 years down the road. So changing all those elbows, this and that, those can be advanced. But for basic, right, just change your gear loop every, same with your engine maintenance, right? Every 100 200 hours, whenever you do your engine, just change it out. If you can change your engine oil, you can change your gear loop 100%. It's as simple as that. I'll also do some videos to demonstrate how to do it in the future. Or YouTube, there's a lot of things, and gear loops are very affordable as well. So FYI, gear loops, engine oils, these are all things that you can really get very affordable even in Singapore from the suppliers that supply to every workshop, every marine shop in Singapore. So just highlighting this. Battery chargers. So battery charger, get it off Amazon, so on and so forth. Most of the boat will have one on board default. But if yours is not working, right, just buy one off online. A battery charger is good because you can either hook it up to your main AC system, or if not, you can just use a 3-pin plug or a converter of a US, as long as it can do 110 to 240 volts, right? You can use a international converter plug, and then just plug it into your wall power, right? 3-pin wall power, and then you will just charge and maintain your battery. So battery chargers is good to have. Requires zero maintenance, unless you are exposing it to moisture and heat. Then there's a whole different set. There's a whole salt water, and that's a whole different conversation. But otherwise, it is as simple as it is, easily replaceable, easily doable. You can DIY it yourself. I DIY mine myself. It's very simple. Just take a drill it in, right? Of course, nowhere to drill, and then just connect the charging pins to the 3 batteries. Depending on how many batteries you have, buy the right battery charger, and then you just hook up the pins. That's it. That's it. It's done. So let's go to the next point. Power steering. So power steering, there's generally two kinds, right? Mechanical, hydraulic. The modern ones are hydraulic. The older ones are more mechanical. Basically, it's powered by your engine. So you will see, depending. So for mine, like I have 2 engines. So one engine would have these additional pulleys and gears, as how it's labeled over here, right? And then this powers the power steering. So without the power steering, your steering is very very stiff. It's very very hard. Is so. For example, for mine, right? One case that I had is that my engine died out of water, right? And this engine was my starboard engine. So my starboard engine had the power steering on it. So when the engine died, so did my power steering die. right? So when I try to maneuver on water, it becomes extremely difficult to maneuver. So know where your power steering is. Um, the reason why the engine died was because the exhaust manifold broke and seawater was coming in, and I was too much of a newbie to know whether what was going on. So that kind of cost me dearly, whereby water came in and then it fried both engines and both ECUs. So it was very expensive lesson, but because of that lesson, right, today I'm able to share all this experience with y'all as well. So know your power steering is very simple. Um, yeah, but basically, as a complete beginner, as a complete newbie, as a on the basic level, know what type of power steering you have, and that will save you a lot of hassle down the road. Three models. So three models for outdrive is very straightforward. You will see something like this in your boat, in your engine bay, and basically one for each engine, or one for each outdrive, so to speak. So what this does is that basically, like I mentioned, your outdrive Bravo trees, right? In this case, has no electrical parts. So how does the trim go up and down? Right, there is a third party model whereby there is electrical connections, right, to power it. And then basically what it does is that it uses the hydraulics, right, to move up and down the 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 outdrive. So very straightforward. Requires almost zero maintenance. Just need to change the oil from time to time, but that is extremely easy to change as well. So um, yeah, you don't really have. It's just good to know. Like any technical questions, you can feel free to ask. But at this point, this is very simple. Even if it breaks, it's ridiculously affordable to fix it, or ridiculously affordable to change it as well. So changing or fixing it is not gonna be a concern. Just need to know where to do it. So that is mine. So anodes are basically your sacrificial metals. So especially for boats that are parked in marina, there's a lot of currents going on all over, right? So what happens is that anodes work two ways. It protects your boat from external stray currents. It also protects your boat from internal stray currents. So when you're operating a boat, when you turn your battery on, or whether there's a leak or a stray current within your battery or your shore power system, it the anodes are sacrificial metals. So instead of the electricity corroding, right, or eating away your tougher metals, which may be your engine metals, right, or your outdrive metals, which usually these are the two places that will have anodes. It instead will eat your anodes first. You will attack your anodes first, so your anodes will start seeing all those bubbly, and then you will start get eaten away through all these currents and electricities, rather than your uh, core metals, which are your engine or your outdrive metals, which obviously you don't want it to be corroding, right? Or you don't want it to be like having developing holes over. So anodes are very important. More or less, you will know your anodes will get eaten away over time. Like even on mine, which is dry stack, after 1 to 2 years, you start seeing the anodes having some bubbly here and there. So anodes anodes are basically sacrificial metals, and know where they are located in your engine. There is definitely, so download your engine manual, right, and you will know it costs next to nothing as well. I can tell you that because I'm being quoted like 10 times, 10 times, right, the cost of buying that anode. So know your anode, just ask for the part number, right, go and google the part number, buy it online, or buy it from any zinc anode shop in Singapore. Like your car has anodes. Just to FYI, your car engine has anodes. So does your boat engine. So a lot of the boat engine stuff come from the car world. So you can actually find those things. That's just like your oil filters and that, and fuel filters. Like your car literally has it. The trucks literally have it. So if the truck is a diesel engine, the bus is a diesel engine, right? Your boat is a diesel engine. They use the same, just that because the boat has they slap a brand on it and it's 7 times more, but the same product, same part code, spare parts code. So just know your things. I mean, over time you're gonna learn this, but um, when in doubt, of course, go to your OEM, right? But once you figured out that this entire thing is a lot of times rebranded, then you are one step closer to the truth. So, um, not saying for you to cut corners, right? But the point is that a lot of things in the boating world comes from the motor world. So does your anal, so does the concepts. So if you're servicing your car for $300, I don't see why you need to service your boat for the same engine $8,000. So just be very clear with it. That's something that I couldn't accept. So I'm gonna make a video and I'm gonna tell you about it. So anals, do change it from time to time. 2 3 years more than sufficient. If your boat is in the water, maybe every 1 year to 2 years you will need to change it. But these are long lasting equipments. Okay, they are depreciating equipments, but very important is that they don't spoil next day. They do have a time for it to wear out. So know where your know the condition of it, and of course buy the correct anode. In Singapore waters, you should buy zinc anode. Don't buy aluminium, right? Don't buy other things. Just buy zinc. It's pretty straightforward. Shower sump, as I mentioned. So how shower sump for those boaters with a marine head or a toilet, whereby you have shower system, right? Whereby water actually goes down to the floor and goes into a hole. Usually you will have a shower sump. So how a shower sump works is that basically it's just a water container tank. Right? This water container tank inside has a sump pump. So a bilge pump or a sump pump, right? So basically, what it does is that you usually have a netting or a filter of sorts. So water first fills the tank, and then the water lever, the sump pump or the bilge pump, whether it's automatic or whether it has a lever system, right? The water will go up, and then you will trigger the lever, and that's where it will operate. So it also acts as a filter before it goes into the sump pump so that it doesn't really clog up the thing, especially if it has stones, pebbles, whatsoever, sand, whatever. So having a shower sump um, container is actually something that you will need to actually open up from time to time to maintain it. But if you're not using the shower system, then by all means you don't have to. But if you're using it, then sometimes you will need to just uh, take a look at it to see if it's blocked, choked. And of course, over after 2 to 3 years, you will need to change the bilge pump motor inside. So that bilge pump motor, just like how your engine and your mid and your forward, if you have bilge pump inside, change them every 2 to 3 years. If you're using it regularly, if you're not using it regularly and they are not working, then of course you can keep it indefinitely, but still have the concept of testing it from time to time. These things don't these things last as long as you don't use them much. But of course, due diligence needs to be there. So do check it from time to time, right? These are all low cost items. So if you even if you do change it, it's a insurance policy, it's a peace of mind. So recommendation every 2 3 years change it, right? Maximum 5 years you have to do a change, and it costs nothing. So very important. Water pump, this is for your water tank system. So if you need to change the water pump, it's extremely easy to get one. If you can figure out where it is located at, take a photo of it, go online, find a replacement model, cut the wires, join the new wire, remove the old water pump, right? We remove the holes, take the new water pump, plug in the same place, right? Screw the same threads in because it's a replacement model, right? Take a wire crimper and crimp the two positive and negative wire. You're done. Like as simple as that. So so water pump, very simple to know. If it's not working in your system, water system is not working. First thing you check is the water pump. Water pump is good because also because it comes from your water tank, so there's no chances of I would say, yeah, the risk factor is not a lot unless your hose have issue. We will go into knowing your hoses now in in the next few slides. So we are almost coming to the end. It's pretty straightforward. Um, Hull valves, or we call it seacocks. So know that your seacocks location. These are like your emergency shut off valve, right? If you because if you don't know where they are located, right, and water do come in and it's coming in from there, and you don't know where that is, how are you going to turn it off, right? When the water come in, it's muddy, it's murky. If it's in your engine bay, the water is gonna probably be looking like dark brown or black. You won't be able to see to the bottom of it. So so of course these are not usual point of failures, but you need to know, right, that the reason why there's a valve over there is because that valve is to shut it off, because that valve is usually connected. There's hole directly below, which is the seawater, right? So so usually the seacock might not have issues, but what comes after it, right? Whether your hose, your clamps, right, your generator, that your engine intake, right, your exhaust manifold, your generator, right, your marine AC, there is consequential breaking points over there. So in the situation where something broke and water is pouring out from it, right, or the hose broke from the seacock point and the seacock is left open, then water starts coming in and your boat is taking in water and might sink, right? You need to go in immediately and know where the location is so that you can pull the seacock and you can close it off and then let the bilge pump do its work. So the reason why your seacock and your hull valves are also directly connected to your hull. So your the seawater is there, followed by your hull, right? So seawater, hull, right, and then your seacock is usually directly over here. So what that means is that there's no point of failure before it, unless your hull cracks and it breaks a hole over there and your seacock is missing, then that's a whole separate level of difficulty that you're gonna be facing. But assuming that things are working, right, and the seawater is here, right, and then you have your hull, and then your seacock is here, jump in. If anything below the hole, after it, the hose, right, and then the hose connect to generator or whatever, right, and it breaks over there and water is coming in, you can jump in directly and close the seacock, and everything after it is shut off. The valve is shut off. So know your seacock location. Very, very important. Um, for engine, right? Depending on your engine. So mine is through hole. That means it takes water directly from the hole. It sucks into the primary strainer and then goes directly to engine. Most of the boats usually it will take from the stern drive, right? So when it takes from the stern drive, you have insurance policy over there. The insurance policy is that if you turn off your engine, it will not suck in water, right? So, so that is one thing. But for true hull, so also same. If I shut off the engine, it will not take in water. But because the fact that there's two holes directly into the water, right, at the bottom of the on the bottom of the boat, the hull at the bottom, right? I have two seacocks over there. So in the event if the hose breaks, right, and the boat starts sinking because the water starts flowing from the seacock right into the boat, I can jump in and I can turn it off, right? So is my generator's intake. So my generator, right, it also has an intake hole directly to cool the system. So is my marine AC. My marine AC also has a hole directly sucking in water from the sea. So knowing all this, where all these points of potential water entry is, right, and knowing where the seacock is over there, is an insurance policy that you need to have. So that's something that you can also take note. Hoses and clamps. So like I mentioned, right, the seacocks are there, but so are your hoses and clamps, which can be a point of failure as well. So Hoses and clamps. Remember, for boat, for boat, anything that is metal, right? Because the seawater is so treacherous, it will corrode anything that is not rated in a sense. So I'll do another video sometime soon on rusted metal and 316 marine steel metal. Both are the same screwdrivers. Sorry, the both are the same screws, but the one that is not 316 marine is completely rusted, and the 316 is still 316, pristine, still steel color, silver color, right after 1 2 years in the same box. So remember that your clamps and anything that has a point of failure, right? And it's metal. Make sure that it's 316, like your clamps, right? Like your screws. Um, yeah, make sure it's 316 marine steel. There's a lot of manufacturers in Singapore. Just tell them 316 marine steel. I need marine rated this and that. I need marine steel, right? Especially for screwdrivers. It's ridiculously cheap, by the way. So just go to some screw shop and ask them 316 marine steel. If they don't have it, go to Lavender, right? Under Lavender Kitchener Complex, at the back of it, there's a shop that sells screws of all kinds. They are a screw manufacturer. Just go there, ask for 316. I have bought every single thing over there. I'll put the link below in the YouTube if you all need it. And then basically you can go there and go and find the steel screws. And same with clamps, right? Make sure your hose must be right high quality. So get good ones, right? Don't save money on this. Your hose are breaking points. If your hose breaks, water come in, right? It's ridiculous to be penny wise pound foolish. Get good hoses, get good clamps, get good nails and screws. Very simple. Blowers. For petrol engines, diesel engine, make sure your blowers will definitely spoil, guaranteed. So replace them every 2 3 years. Like this is 100%. The last thing you want is an explosion. The last thing you want is your diesel engine starving from oxygen, starving from air, right? And then you start burning out and overheating and so on and so forth. Get get blowers. To change them is ridiculously easy. Remove the screws, right? Cut the wire, screw back the new one, right? Clamp back to the exhaust hose, and then connect the wires, and that's it. So it takes like 10 minutes. Know where they are located. Feel free to relocate them if you have the expertise too. It's very simple. You just have to pull 12-volt wires, extend it left and right, and then make sure everything is looking nice. Blowers are extremely important because if you're petrol engine, right, your blowers must. Okay, so for petrol engine, you must have one blower that is sucking out. That means there must be a blower tube to the bottom of your engine, right? So that it sucks out. That's US regulation to suck out any petrol fumes before you start your engine. So blowers, depending on your boat, whether you have one, if you have one, usually it's an extracting blower, right, for your petrol engine, so that it extracts all the fumes out before you start your engine, of course, so that you don't explode. But if you're a diesel engine, then you might have one or two blowers, and usually for diesel, right, you don't have the combustion risk, but you have air starving. So basically, you for diesel you need more air to go in. So usually you'll blow into the engine bay rather than sucking out from the engine bay. But whichever it is, right, as long as you have a working blower, and for petrol engine, as long as you have one blower with a tube going to the bottom of your engine to suck out fumes before you start your engine, you are safe. As simple as that. So know your blowers. 100% will spoil because it is a high utility equipment, and it costs next to nothing, like $20 $30 you get it off Amazon. The exact same make, same model, you can get it 100%. Even if you can't get the exact same one, it's so easy to fix one new one. So it's just a 12-volt cable, cut, join, and that's it. Water impellers. So water impellers is something that at first you don't know how it works, but after a while you get to know it. So basically, these are the things that spin so that the water can go into the system. This is yeah. So when it's not spinning, then it stops the water. You see. So it's as simple as that. When it's spinning, it sucks in the water. When it stops spinning, it stops the water so that it creates a gap. And that is how your boat doesn't sink when you off your engine. So it's as simple as that. Um, change your impeller from time to time is very easy. But of course, if even if you have to pay someone to do it, just watch some YouTube videos, understand how it works, right? Understand more or less the cost of an impeller and what kind of value you want to give it for the labor of just removing some threads, pulling out, changing it, and putting it back. So um, if you don't know, then people might be charging you $3,000-4,000 for one simple brainless labor, right? But if you know, then I strongly believe that there is a fair value in the market for workmanship, and it starts from you as a boat owner understanding how it works. As simple as that. You do not have the education, then you don't complain when you get ripped off. When you are educated and when you have the knowledge of it, you decide whether you want to take the offer or you don't want to take the offer, or whether it is a fair value that they are offering to you. It's as simple as that. Circuit breakers. I wouldn't recommend anyone to go and touch 230 volts AC circuit if you don't know how electricity works. Please don't go and do that. And remember, when you're touching electricity, shore power you must remove. If you can remove the battery plugs, go and remove it. If you can't remove it, good news is that 12 volt DC wouldn't cause much damage as long as you know what you're doing. But if you are unsure of this, um, really just ask or get someone to do it. AC circuit is universal. If anyone can do your lights for you in your office or your home, he can do the lights for you in the boat. As simple as that. Nothing pseudoscience about it. It's all 230 volt. But if you don't know how to do your lights in your home, don't do it. Then don't do it for your boat. Right? The whole point is to discover value, not to be cheapskate and put your life at risk. So know your value, know what is the value of service, which is the whole point about this presentation and the whole point about this video, right? Is to tell you as a boat owner how you understand how a boat and its equipment works in a high level, right? In a very basic format, and what are the value of labor and work that goes into maintaining it. And so far, we have almost come to the end of the whole thing. It is not as scary as what we all presume it to be. When I was in my year one in boat, right, completely knowledgeless. Same thing, right? Like the dark ages, they burn the manual so that you don't understand how it works, and you think that it's very complicated. It's not like a car. Okay, yes, it's definitely not a car, but there are fundamentals that are very similar. And unfortunately, in my case, right, I have to go and crawl into all the engine crevices, the holes, this and that, get my hands cut, get my learn through all these processes, and I figured it out. Yeah, it's actually quite doable. So just putting it out as a point that all these things is achievable. It's just whether the balancing act is that. And I believe as boat owners, you either get the balancing act right at the start, or the market will teach you over time when you start burning your wallet that you will eventually find the balancing act. So this video will help you save some of those pains and struggles. I believe, right? It's very counterintuitive for someone like me, who is in his 30, literally 29 years old this year, right? To have a boat, and because of lack of education, gave people opportunity to overcharge you for $8,000 to just change engine oils, right? Um, and that's probably like 2 hours of labor per engine. That's it. So that's $2,000 per hour. Yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic business model, isn't it? So the point is that is it worth $2,000 per hour? Ask yourself that. I'm not gonna answer it, but I'm pretty sure even a doctor who is a brain, even a brain surgeon, right, or a neurosurgeon doesn't get paid that much. So think about it. Is it price gouging or is it specialization? Um, and if it's specialization, why the hell are you doing basic engine servicing? It doesn't make sense. Anyway, ACDC circuit, right? Understand how it works. It's very straightforward. Um, Regular maintenance and facts. We are coming to the end of the entire presentation. These are three, I think, three slides left. Right, very straightforward point. Do the basic maintenance. Right, your engine will thank you, your boat will thank you, and you will have a peace of mind in your boating experience, or at least basic peace of mind, because you know the basic maintenance that is required for your own boat. Right, so do yourself the justice, and of course, throwing it in, right? Don't get ripped off. Flush your engine whenever possible, right? Remember, if your boat is gonna come out of the water, or if your boat is gonna be sitting in the water for some time and you have run the engine previously, there will be salt inside the system. So if you're not running your engine, just flush it with water for good 5 to 10 minutes. Um, Understand which kind of intake you are doing, right? Whether you are through hole or whether you are from your stern drive. I thought mine was stern drive, so I was doing it and I was almost burning my impellers because I didn't know that I was through hole, right? But know which intake you are in, right? Make sure you flush your intake system. There's a lot of ways you can do it. If you are doing it from stern drive, you have the clip and then you can just leave it on, which is very convenient. For mine, I have to DIY a system that puts holes into the two sockets, into the two primary water strainers, and then when I turn on the engine, it will suck the water in. So flush your engine if you're not using it for good 2 to 3 weeks. 2 to 3 weeks is enough to corrode your engine, just FYI. So make sure flush your engine always. Use salt away barnacle busters. These are things that you can buy online, ridiculously cheap, right? To just do it from time to time. I mean, of course, don't go. I mean, the whole point about this is value, right? So don't become cheapskate and say, okay, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna use just fresh water. Yes, you can do it, but it's same as having oil, right, on your hand, and you say I use fresh water to go and wash it. It's gonna take a lot of days, and your hand have natural healing abilities to shred and exfoliate, but your engine does not have. So buy the right chemicals, right? And engine buster and salt away and barnacle busters are proven products that used to keep your eliminate salt in your system, in your engine system. So just buy it and just use it. Peace of mind, right? Feel happy also. Change your filter, service your engine every 100 200 hours. Very straightforward. Liquid moly additives, not a popular opinion, right? But really depends on what you want to feel, right? I think it's you call it pseudoscience, call it things, but I believe there is lab tests to prove it. I've seen YouTube videos, or at least right, I've seen enough YouTube videos to know that it works to a certain extent. Whether that clogs up your your firing pins or not, those are separate question. I think your fuel has a more higher chance than a fuel additive. But regardless, right, the whole point is that these are things that whether you want to call it pseudoscience or not, is $30 for one tank. Like in my case, a diesel fuel tank 300 liters is only $30. So I wouldn't mind buying just two and just pour it in, right? And the thing here is that, and so far it has not clogged up my engine, it has not destroyed my engine in any way, right? It's still working fine. In fact, it solved the engine vibration. So nothing else has changed in the equation, right? Besides adding the additive, and the engine now doesn't vibrate that much. So you tell me whether it's working or not. That's up to you, right? But I personally, I would recommend having just buy some additives. They are marine standard, liquid marine. So it's obviously there's a they can't be selling snake oil, right? Check engine compartment for water every time after a trip. No brainer, right? Just open up your engine. If there's water inside, oh, somewhere must be coming in water, right? Otherwise, why would there be water? If it's a lot, have to worry, right? If it's little bit, it might be some from your stern drive, some holes over the years developed, right? But try to figure out where it's coming from. If it's coming in from your exhaust manifold, better know it's coming in from your exhaust manifold. So how you see, like for me, I learned it the hard way, right? Because when my engine was taking in water, when my engine bay was taking in water out at sea, I only when I opened my engine hatch, because alarms were sounding, this and that, water alarms were sounding. Open, and I saw that the water was very black, like it was almost brownish black. But I didn't realize it at that point. I didn't realize because it was a Mayday situation, right? Both engines were fried, everything, water was coming in, engine was half filled with water. The boat was really like in a situation of sinking, and it didn't occur to me at that point in time because I was too amateur, right? But the water was so black. Yet the seawater is very blue or green in a sense. So it must have come from the engine, right? It's just that I didn't know, so I kept turning on the engine, and I tried to make it back to the marina. And because of that, the reason why the water was so black was because the exhaust manifold broke. So the exhaust obviously carries all the carbon and everything, right? So when it broke, the dirty water the carbon and the smoke start filling up the entire engine bay. So of course the water was black. I didn't know it. So only after both engine was fried and the bilge pump was working, then I saw the water going down. Then I realized, oh shit, yeah, it was actually from the engine. There was no hole, there was nothing, right? So just this is just some experience and FAQs. So if the water is very black or brown, right, just maybe want to be, if it's oil color, right, if it's carbon color, if it's charred color, maybe it's coming in from somewhere at the end of your engine process, right? Or maybe your engine oil is or your engine oil is leaking, or your engine is leaking, right? So it must be from somewhere over there. But if it's fresh color water, that is almost like sea color, then you can be very sure that it's almost coming in from the sea. So know where the waters, know the color of the water when there's an ingress situation, and you will know how to diagnose what is going on. And of course, your engine should be kept dry at all times. This is very important. If your engine always have moisture and this and that, you're gonna get rust. So if you're gonna get rust, then what you need to do is that, and of course, sometimes you are in wet berth, so you can't control it. In that situation, buy some silicone sprays and just um, wax it up, right? Wax silicone sprays are like the wax for engine compartment. So like buy some silicone sprays, extremely cheap from hardware stores, and just spray and wipe it from time to time. Turn off batteries after issues, common sense, right? Don't have stray currents in your system. Don't let current run in your system. The lesser current you have, the less corrosion you have. As simple as that. Silicone spray, the wax for engine compartment, yes. Service engine every 100 200 hours, right? Most engine use 5W40, same as car. Okay, for this statement, I will have to edit read your user manual. So for mine is 15W40, right? So 15W40 APICF. So this is the standard that is recommended for my engine, diesel engine. For Merc Cruisers, if I'm not wrong, is 25W40, I think. So 25W40 or then 25W30. Read your user manual as well. It's like literally the first thing you download the PDF file, go to engine, and it will tell you how many liters to replace and what's the standard that you should be using. Um, Use the right standard, and your engine will love you more. It's as simple as that. So, um, for engine oil, really understand what engine oil you want to use, because traditionally you don't really they just say they change engine oil, but there's actually a standard to it. So use the right standard, and it will probably save you somewhere and tear down the road. I I believe that's the case. Change engine oil, coolants, gear loop from time to time. Check engine oil, coolant, gear loop from time to time. Yes, it's very straightforward. Check it. If it's not looking fresh, feel free to change it. Now that you know that it's so cheap, right? Like, if it's $8,000, of course, no way on earth I'm gonna do it. But if now that I figure it out, that it's only costing like $200 all in plus labor, more or less, why not? So be familiar with the sound of the boat. This is something that is, if you are unfamiliar with your boat and your boat doesn't sing to you, you didn't sing to your boat yet. My advice, as what some wise man has once said to me as well, don't play music while cruising. Because when you play music while cruising, you can't listen to what the engine is singing, right? So listen to the sound of your engine. As a new boater, you need to understand what your engine behavior. Engine is choking from time to time, you need to know that it's choking from time to time. If your engine is having spasms, you need to know that it's having spasms, right? So the idea here is that know your engine, know your RPM, and monitor all those patterns. If anything deviates from the norm, then you need to be immediately aware of the situation, right? Because somewhere something has changed. So that's the thing. Know your hoses location, right? Know your ingress possible site. Anything that is connected via a hole, right, in your hull, know where those holes are. Those are possible points, right? The hull doesn't crack unless you hit a rock or something. But if you don't know, I mean, if there's an ingress, then you need to know where it's coming in from. So usually it could be a hose or a clamp that rusted and broke, and then water come in, and then you need to shut off the clamp, shut off the seacock or whatsoever, right? You need to know. In any situation, right? If it's from engine, so like I mentioned just now, right? For your engine, if you are taking in water and you know that it's from the engine, shut off the engine. Then the water will stop. As simple as that. But if you don't know, first thing first, find a safe spot and shut off your engine. Right? That is very important, because if you keep the engine running, which I would say it really depends on the situation, but if you keep the engine running and your engine is the one that's having the leak, you are actually exaggerating the situation. So my recommendation is that find a safe spot out of the heavy traffic, right? If your electricals are still working, right? Your batteries are not fried. Why I'm saying is that batteries are not fried, engine is not flooded, is because even if you off the engine, you can turn it back on. But if your electricals are fried, your engine can't be turned on, then it's better off just leaving the engine running until it shuts off, and then you figure out what's going on, you see. So the idea here is that if your bilge pump is working hard, right, your electricals are working, and the water is not coming in super fast, right, and you know that it's stabilizing over there, right, like maybe at 1/4 of your engine, and it's not frying anything, or less than 1/4, like 10% of your and of your engine height, like it's not even anywhere near frying your engine or your battery, then just stop somewhere, right? Let the bilge work its way off the engine, right? Try to figure out if the water is stopping. If the water is stopping, that means somewhere from the engine it must be leaking, right? But if the water is not stopping, find out where it is, the sea caulk, the hose, whatsoever, right? If it's mendable, man it. If it's not mendable, call for mayday, call for tow help, right? Um, Last thing you want is to sink your boat. But there's one more thing that's more important than not sinking your boat is don't get your passenger or yourself safety compromised. So that's very important. So that is all. Thank you so much. It's 1 hour and 5 minutes. If you listen all the way through here, congratulations. I hope that this will be a very interesting tutorial for you. My LinkedIn is over there. So if you have any questions, because I'm putting this on YouTube, so you may be from anywhere in the world in the future, right? But if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. My passion is in boat. I like boat. I've been forced into liking my boat for the past 2 years anyway. So been there, done that. Been through every single thing that I've just mentioned, and probably even more. So hope to create more contents like this. But in all cases, thank you so much for listening in, and have a great time wherever you are.